Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're keeping well. Thanks for joining in on another live stream. Um, I've just been busy programming as usual. I have a product I'm busy working on, which is going to be released later this year. I've just been a bit concerned over seeing what was been happening with TikTok. Uh, because I'm creating an application and I'm not an American citizen, so I wonder what that means exactly for me. I'll just show you what I've been working on now recently, if I can just get this to work. But I've just been working on a video selection screen. So some of the 3D artwork that I've actually created for this application, I've created all of this myself. This has been so difficult just to be able to get this program to run every single video codec. And what I've just been working on now recently is this video selection video trimmer, which I'm not exactly done with. But as you can see, you can go ahead and click this.
Rock me, baby.
So I created the music, the artwork, the 3D. Those are just some demo scenes that I created. Can't really tell you too much about it, but it is extremely unique and novel. I had to fight for my life to keep the rights to this. And I've just been pretty stressed out over the new year because it's just been a bit of a delay with what I've been creating. Excuse me if I'm scratching and touching my face because I have allergies, unfortunately. I never thought I'd be the person to actually have allergies, but I do. So for everyone that's supporting me on Patreon, that's what you're supporting. I am constantly developing, and there's a product which I am personally developing, which will be released later this year. So I want to thank you guys for that support, because this is my way of creating something pretty epic that can actually positively contribute towards the world, because I personally feel like most of these tech companies are not really doing that. I've been looking at America lately. America's always causing a scene, and you saw they recently just banned TikTok and now are expecting that TikTok sell, I believe, their American subsidiary or the international subsidiary. I'm not exactly sure, but they're requesting 50% partnership in a joint venture agreement, which is pretty sticky, legally speaking, because it's going to give TikTok less control over their product and platform. There's been a lot of stuff I've been seeing, like Facebook creating a TikTok account, TikTok CEO creating a Instagram account. And it's just really shady, and it's just really weird. And I think it's for America, obviously, because it's a Chinese-owned company, ByteDance owns TikTok, their main argument has been it's a national security concern. But as you saw, most of the people involved in government actually had shares and stock in Meta, Facebook, who, by the way, has been caught out for misusing users' data for quite a while. And some people believe there's actually going to be somewhat of a merger. I'm not really surprised, because at the end of the day, all it really is for these people is money. But I am concerned as an application developer myself when my product releases, especially if it starts competing with the likes of Facebook and whatever, what it is I will be allowed to say and what it is I won't be allowed to say. It's just this technocracy and this capitalist world has so many gatekeepers, and it's something I don't really want to worry about, and I shouldn't worry about. But it is something that ultimately exists. I'm a South African solo developer. Let's just check what's happening here. South African solo developer. And as I said, I'm very grateful for how this is working. This took me so long to do.
Information can be.
I had to develop and adapt certain technology to allow it to play every single video codec. And there's a lot of adjustments and refinements in which it is that I need to do. I'm only showing you this section of the application. There's a lot more which has been developed and will continue to be developed. And that's, as I said, thanks to all you guys on Patreon. So the whole purpose of me actually creating this is to create free speech and to ultimately tackle and oppose unfairness within the world. But it's so technical because this landscape you exist in has many different stakeholders and platforms and distribution channels, which all have their own owners, stakeholders, and gatekeepers. So it kind of makes you worry a little bit about what can be done to prevent you from continuing to build a successful application. And America hasn't really had any problems with the rest of the world with their products. No one's really banned their products. And the question is, how much of a detriment to our lives have their products been? Regardless, that is the situation. I'm just kind of cautious and annoyed and irked by how political everything becomes and how many things you end up actually having to worry about. Like, you can't just go create a product and have it out there. If your product starts stepping on the wrong people's toes or saying the wrong things, the right people in certain positions may stand in your way. But those aren't things that you can actually worry about. Recently on my TikTok, my Patreon, what I shared was a Neville Goddard video, which I actually happened to listen to in a long time after not listening to Neville Goddard. But, he says some really amazing things, really wise man, and really uplifting and motivating. So, what I wanted to tackle was the illegitimacy of these world governments and this birth certificate enforced slavery, where everyone's turned ultimately into a commercial object and legal entity that can be bossed around by a quasi-legal fictitious state. It's all ultimately corporations who are turning human beings into corporations and exerting power over them. I just recently watched a movie, thanks to my brother's recommendation, called Gladiator 2. Really good movie. I just wonder how historically accurate it is, but regardless of that, it's really interesting to see the similarities between the Roman Empire and the current empires that exist today, and how they exert that power over us, the commoners, the peasants, the people. And we're forced to do what they expect us to do, and they're always in a situation where they're fearing a revolt of the people. So much so that applications like TikTok actually censor people who use the word revolution or the word genocide. You can't use those words on their platforms, and it really makes you question and wonder why. Like, why can you not use the word revolution? Are they so scared of a revolution that they have to actually go ahead and ban these words? People speak about freedom of speech, but as far as I'm concerned, there's no freedom of speech. It doesn't exist, guys. And I've said this over and over again. And these products and platforms enforce that reality, that freedom of speech ultimately does not exist. So one of the concerns with the US being able to just ban TikTok was ultimately freedom of speech. But of course, the main argument was national security concerns, considering that China owns TikTok. And what really upsets me is, like, why do these countries have to continue this age-old battle of ideology and cultural hegemony and cultural imperialism? Like, why do they have to enforce these things in such a way that's creating so much division between people all over the world. Like the CCP does not really necessarily represent the values and beliefs of all Chinese people and citizens. And it's this constant wars, there's constant trade wars, there's constant economic wars, there's constant ideological wars, constant accusations of propaganda, and so forth and so on. And of course, in this digital age we exist in, it's never been easier for people to ultimately practice political propaganda. It's so easy now with these advanced algorithms, with these platforms, which ultimately can depict and direct people's thoughts and alert their attention and awareness to certain topics and issues, and ultimately create certain ideological biases. I don't know if that's the correct way of saying it. But we live in such a divided world. I mean, the nature of our world is so unbelievably divided. You've got however many countries, 250 whatever countries, and we're so unbelievably divided. This is not a united world. And not only are there these regional governmental restrictions, they're further enforced by cultural and political um, distinctions that create and harbor more division between people. You know, it's unbelievable to see how divided human beings are and how susceptible they are towards cultural imperialism and the communication and media's ability to form their worldviews, the way in which it is that they perceive and look at the world through ultimately an American lens, which has been changing and has been shifting. I would say, um, yeah, I actually can't say that. I can't say that American cultural imperialism has been thwarted or decreased, because it actually hasn't. In many cases, it's just become stronger. But in some cases, other people's viewpoints and perspectives, I guess, have become more visible and more prominent. But these governments that control us keep us divided. Like China's keeping the Chinese people from being able to see the whole entire world. They live in a information vacuum because of the censorship and firewalls in China. And then America just practices its propaganda, ultimately, constantly poising China as the enemy. And it's like we're just getting further and further away from unity. And we're getting, we're just creating these echo chambers, which are called countries. And it just creates more racism and more division and more this and that. It's like it would be nice to be able to see a world where these invisible borders ultimately went away, and people didn't just live in specific regions around the world, like Asian people in Asia, uh, Indian people in India, African people in Africa, and so forth and so on. It's so divided. Everything has been created out of division. So it was really interesting to actually see that Gladiator movie, to see how similar and how inspired these current empires are by the Roman Empire, and very successful and prominent empires, particularly the Roman Empire. And there's so much stuff we've adapted and taken from the Roman Empire. Like the senators, the emperors, so forth and so on. Fortunately enough, we don't have colonialism anymore. We don't have these land grabs taking place anymore. Well, not necessarily. If you look at Russia and Ukraine, but nonetheless, it's not really that prominent. But we are isolated. We are kept apart from each other, and there's certain favoritism and privileges afforded to culturally imperialistic countries or empires around the world. But it's just so interesting to see how these modern empires are so similar to these Roman empires. The only difference is that democracy apparently happens to exist. Um, but nonetheless, it's still the elite ruling class versus the everyday people. And these people ultimately making decisions on behalf of all of us. It is sometimes so inefficient and so wasteful and so nonsensical. But what can you do, you know? Ultimately, in this world we live in, your government's your God. Your government determines what you can and can't do. And that's always bothered me. Since I was a young kid, I was always bothered by the fact that there were these invisible borders that would prevent me from traveling the world freely. I was born on this earth just like anybody else, so why can't I just travel where I want to? Who's determining the rights to determine this? It's ultimately these empires. And we live in an empirical world where empires are depicting our way of life and determining what can and can't get us into trouble, what it is we can and can't do. And so, because of that, we are just not born free. You don't have freedom. Look, in some cases, having a government and legal systems is useful, to prevent all out chaos and madness and to hold certain people accountable. But it doesn't have to exist in such a way where it restricts us in so many other ways and ultimately forcefully requires us to forfeit our rights at birth. At determining where you can mine, where you can't dig, what you can't own, what land you can use, where you can settle, what you can grow, what business you can do, where your resources and energies have to go. We're just not free. We just weren't born in a free world. We were born in a system, an imperialistic system that had been developed through racism, war, and slavery, and colonialism. And these systems have just adapted and evolved. It's like we're using the same Roman systems that currently exist today. And then we are told to value freedom, but we don't have any freedom. I mean, for as long as a government has the rights to own your house after a certain period of time, and you don't actually own your house unless it's formally declared as private property, what rights do you actually have? The government has to take taxes on inheritances, on your sweat equity, on your labor, on every single purchase made. And then they want to tell us that we're free and to value these extremely idealistic concepts like freedom. But freedom is we just live in an illusion of freedom. And I would like to challenge that one day. But as someone who's producing a technology and application, I have to be cautious and I have to be concerned about who and what I challenge because of this system that's now developed into this digital product and commercial landscape, which has its gatekeepers. It makes it really difficult to challenge these structures and these systems. And why should it be? We should have the freedom to challenge these structures and systems without any forceful opposition. We should be able to claim our freedom. But we live in a landscape that is, I hate to use, that is a cancel culture. If certain gatekeepers don't like you, they'll just shut you down. If you're speaking about certain topics or issues and they don't like it, they'll just shut you down. Even if, as me, as someone who creates a social media application and I have my own platform, I'm at risk of still being shut down. I don't really want to think about it. But that is ultimately a risk that exists. And I have to pay attention to and be concerned of within regards to what it is that I promote and what it is that I say. So it doesn't make you feel free. to challenge people, to challenge things, to challenge old systems, to challenge this matrix without being shunned, without being isolated, and ultimately turned into a victim. And so I would still like to challenge it, but I'm just going to have to be extremely strategic as to how it is that I happen to do that, and unbelievably patient. Because you work so hard on something to try to change the world, and all your progress can be lost in an instant, which is why I'm creating my own platform myself. Creating my own platform myself because I don't like what these tech companies are doing. And now it's becoming so unbelievably politically intertwined. The politics and the tech oligarchs are becoming one and the same thing, guys. And it just reminds me of Rome. The Roman Empire. So, I want to challenge these things. I want to create freedom of speech, freedom of being your own living being on the land, to have your own rights and the ability to choose to exist outside of a governmental structure, which is a lot easier said than done because you need to provide a landscape in which people can exist out of these things without needing to be legally intertwined with these governmental structures and systems. And so it's very controversial in terms of politics and in terms of the mainstream way of thinking and doing things. And I'm saying it before I go ahead and do it, that I'm going to be exceptionally cautious about fighting for freedom. I mean, if I'm going to live life on Earth and create a platform and a product that can potentially be in the hands of millions, if not billions of people, I want to make use of that. I don't want it to just be for the sake of making money. The money becomes worthless if you can't actually create impactful and meaningful change that can actually change the world for the better and actually give us freedom, give us as human beings freedom. And it's strange fighting for something that one day you'll lose because you'll die, you'll pass away. But I guess when your heart is so tied towards these ideas and concepts like freedom itself, it doesn't matter how long you live, you just fight for it anyway. Because that's what you believe in. There's nothing else you really can do. That's you sticking true to your guns, sticking true to who it is you are and what it is you believe in. And idealistically making way for future generations. Money is ultimately worthless and useless if it can't actually change people's lives. Like you can go earn as much money as you want, but if you're not able to actually positively change the world, its ideas, its way of thinking, and this is what's happening. They're gatekeeping ideology. They're gatekeeping the way in which it is we think. They're so happy with how things are. This commercialist, materialistic, superficial mindset that the consumer market has. And so if anyone comes to challenge that and to challenge people to be different and to care about things that matter and to think differently, there's a very good chance of you facing opposition. So it's like they've created these barricades for free thinkers and their ability to influence the world, to think for themselves and to think freely and to think outside of these political and regional boxes that we've been placed into since birth. And to actually value fundamental things like freedom. People obviously value freedom, but I don't think they really understand what freedom is, because no one's really free. You're not free to travel this world. You're not free to do what you want without some sort of governmental oversight that is going to block you in one way or another. Fortunately enough, things like common law and natural law do exist. But in order for them to actually make any impact in this world, they would need a large delivery mechanism, like a platform or something, which then still becomes risky. It's a risky thing to want to change people's ideas. If you go ahead and you promote the ability to exist outside of governmental structures, an empire like America is going to immediately oppose you. You will be seen as a threat. You'll be seen as a national security threat if you give people an alternative to exist outside of governmental structures. You'll be seen as a national security threat, especially if you're reaching and impacting lots of people. So it's just been this evolution of power and control that's taken course over the last couple of thousand years up until this point. And it kind of upsets me in a way because of how difficult it can become to challenge. Because as I said, like if you go and you create some amazing new way of thinking and get people to be concerned about actually being truly free, and have, if in order to be truly free, you have to have the ability to choose to exist outside of a governmental structure. If you don't have that choice, you're not truly free. You're just being sold the illusion and ideal of freedom without actually having it or receiving it. So it's an interesting battle I'm somewhat fighting, because it's so technical and it's so dangerous, and you can be set back so easily, and you can be seen as a threat to certain power structures so easily. But how can one that truly understands freedom not want to fight for it, to gain it, to have it, to hold it? So, I want to create stuff that can positively inspire the world to be more free, more loving, more kind, and respectful, and considerate. I don't think that's such a harmful ideological position to hold, but others may see it as that. I don't believe in propaganda. I don't believe in controlling people's minds, ideas, and thoughts, and what it is they have access to. I believe in an organic unfoldment of things and freedom. Just got a message from Sacred Terra. What's up, Jesse? I just watched your inauguration. The golden age has officially begun. I'm glad to see you feel that way. That's good to hear. But all I see is tech oligarchs who I don't like. I don't like Google. I don't like Facebook. I don't like these companies. And now they're becoming so heavily influenced with government. These companies are bad companies. They're not good companies. They're bad companies who have been caught out doing bad things, exploiting people, their data, their information, and censorship. They're bad companies. Look, it's America's America. America's going to do what America's going to do. If they have someone like Donald Trump who's going to do some good things, great. We'll settle for that, because I can't really be opposed to it. If you can end wars, end the funding of wars, that's great. Can't fault him. Should be happy for him. But as soon as I see this this merge of tech oligarchs and political people taking place, it's slightly disconcerting. Especially when the companies involved are not good companies. They're not good companies. I don't like Facebook. I don't like Meta. I don't like Instagram. I don't think we've seen a product that's actually, or a tech company that's actually grown so big and has actually positively influenced people's behavior, attitude, and mental state. I think these platforms have just made people more prone to narcissism, more prone to materialism. And Secretary says, yes, President Trump addressed ending a bunch of corrupt policies today, ending censorship, etc. Well, that's amazing. I mean, that's incredible. I agree with stuff like that. And if he's going to be the one to do that, then that's epic. That's amazing. But it's really strange to see that take place when they've just gone ahead and banned TikTok, and ultimately the only resolution is to create a joint venture merger of American ownership. It's for me as an outsider, it's just enforcing cultural, technological, capitalistic imperialism. When has any other country besides China given America a problem with their companies coming into the country? Look, I understand America from a perspective of China and national security concern does make sense from America's perspective. But and hopefully it ends there. It ends them with it ends with them saying, yeah, listen, like let's say somebody from another country creates some really big company in America and starts influencing Americans, let's say idealistically in a very good way. And now the American competition is not liking that. And then you're going to go ahead and ban competition? I hope not. Yeah, it was banned for a day. And it's back up now. It's because it kind of seems like Facebook was involved. And it kind of seems like they're using their political connections to ultimately ban competition. But I can't completely say that because, as I said, I do understand it from a national security concern. You know, I do understand it. But in order to validate that argument, they'd have to have looked through TikTok's algorithms and actually proved what they were saying was correct. But ultimately, that concern still exists there. So TikTok will have to go ahead and make a joint venture. I wonder if it's the American subsidiary or if it's the entire TikTok outside of China. Anyway, Google don't like. I don't like products. I don't like what they're doing to people's minds. I don't like what they're doing to the discourse, to the conversations, to the things that are being made mainstream, the celebrity culture. I don't really like it. That's just my personal opinion. This is just how I feel. I don't really like it. It just, in some cases, lacks a lot of sincerity. But hey, I mean, if Trump, as I said, we need a free market space that can allow competition to take place, not prevent it by gatekeeping competition. That's unfair. That's really unfair. Like for me as a South African application developer, I got to be worried about going to America and competing with their top products. But then Facebook and stuff doesn't have to worry about that when they are all over the world. Google doesn't have to worry about it. YouTube doesn't have to worry about it, who are ultimately owned by the same company. It's kind of unfair from my perspective. I just hope that I personally don't have any issues or don't have any problems. America was known to be this free marketplace, and it's just being proven that that it's not. It's not a free marketplace. It's a very biased marketplace. But hey, that's just my opinion. I'm not an expert on any of these things to give you any conclusive information or ideas. At least Trump is doing what he's doing, I just personally, from my perspective, I would like to see Trump end wars. To stop the wars, dude. Use your connections. Use your influence, use your power to stop these wars, dude. Stop funding these wars, bro. How long are we gonna fund war, dude? And if anyone can do it, he can. If anyone can actually contribute to stopping these wars, Trump can. I cannot argue against that. He's the only one that can currently. So yeah, I saw your secretary told me they're banning pornography. I mean, if you're gonna ban anything, ban OnlyFans, dude. Damn. So worried about American culture being affected and influenced? Yeah, you should probably start with the user generated pornography website. Should probably start there. Also, I totally agree with that. Going back to two genders, that's a good thing that Trump's doing as well. Because the Democrats are going crazy with this gender fluidity thing and have completely warped and fucked up people's minds. And you are right, common sense is coming back. And that's great to hear, actually, that he's bringing common sense back because it's crazy, dude, and it's infectious. And it's affecting the rest of the world, dude. It was affecting the rest of the world. So, yeah, I mean, that's good to hear. Those are good things, you know? You can't fault good policy. When the policy is good, you can't fault it. Doesn't matter who's bringing it in. The policy is good, it's good. But let's be honest, as Democrats were really messing stuff up, man. They're really warping people's minds. I don't know what it is that they were teaching in these universities, dude, but it's just crazy, dude. And then everything became about that for the last couple of years, arguing how many genders there are and men competing in women's sports and so forth and so on. And it's like, look, I'm not opposed to transgenders. I'm not opposed to cross dressers. I'm not opposed to homosexuals, dude. But when you start confusing everyone with what a man or a woman is, it's just confusing. And it can really mess up people's minds and then create more division and more space for arguments to take place. So yeah, it is good that he's doing that, and I hope that they, and I'm sure there's a lot more good policies that he has that are coming forth. But yeah, the biggest concern for me is really just the tech oligarchs. I can't really fault Trump's policies or his ability to actually influence the world in a positive way, like his great ability and potentiality to ending these wars. That's amazing. Really good, really effective. And as Secretary has been saying, the American government's been actually following through as quickly as possible on a lot of these things that they're saying and these policies they're putting forth. But yeah, it would be good to see common sense come back. But as I said, my main concern is just these tech platforms and these oligarchs, dude. Like Google's not a good company, dude. YouTube's not a good company. Facebook's not a good company. Jeff Bezos, I mean, he just sells stuff, I guess. Yeah, I just hope that when my product's released and launched, America doesn't give me any issues, man. Because I need America to succeed in an international marketplace. And, I don't want them to be, well, Elon Musk was South African and he did it. So surely I can. Surely they won't give me too many issues or problems. Anyway, you're right. What are you referring to exactly? Yeah, I'm really too totally concerned about Trump anymore. I'm just concerned about these tech oligarchs, dude. And I'm a little concerned about crypto because crypto was supposed to provide a financial alternative, but now it's just becoming a government asset and a governmental ploy they're not really giving us or letting us have anything that can exist outside of government oversight. That was crypto's initial selling point. It could exist outside of fiat currencies, but now it's just being the oligarchs and tech, yeah. Now it's just being imbued into government, dude. It's like its original appeal no longer exists. And Secretary, you were right about XRP, by the way. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, but as I said before, crypto is fucking dangerous, and a lot of people got destroyed. So they should really put some more warning labels, guys. Seriously, because in order for people to make money, people have to lose money. It's that's how the system works, dude. It's how trading these things work. In order for people to make money, people got to lose money. U.S. Constitution forbids funding of any army and requires the militia to be funded. I'm in Texas and cannot find a local militia, but army recruiters are easily available. That's interesting. And that's good to hear, man. It's, Trump, from what I can tell, has been pulling people out of war places, and out of war. Like, look after your veterans, man. Look after your homeless people. Trump was the only guy I ever heard propose a plan to house the homeless with his whole camp site thing, which is good. It just shows that they're thinking in the right direction. Funding after 2 years of war, that is, then the army is to be defunded. Interesting. And then obviously he wants to create the Iron Dome. It's just very divisive, It's like, wow, now you're going to create a missile system to protect you? It's like, bro, if any of these countries go to war, it's fucking World War III, bro. If any of these major empires go to war, it's World War III. Yeah, and then the Trump coin could have been bought when it was 0.5 cents, something like that. It didn't act on it. It went up 70 yesterday. Yo, look, you can make a lot of money with crypto. Don't get me wrong, but it is so unbelievably risky, dude. And my issue with it is that the market starts to rally when people like Trump and other people start speaking about it. And then all of a sudden, you start seeing ads from all these crypto companies trying to get you into trading. And it's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but like, guys, like, please issue out a warning on these things. Because people have been destroyed by crypto. It's just you don't hear about it or know about it, but people have been decimated by crypto, dude. Because, so I just want to change to my phone so I can go grab some water and have a cigarette. That was my job, military Patriot missile systems repairman. It's a counter missile system to take down incoming attacks and monitor radars, etc. We need an Iron Dome. Reagan started it. Yeah, dude. But it's like, who do you need an Iron Dome for? By the way, Secretary, dude, thanks so much for actually always supporting me and always being here, bro. I really appreciate it. A lot of these recent shows. Oh, sorry, guys. A lot of these recent shows ultimately would not be possible without you, man. And Secretary is working on a comic book. It's called SG, Sacred Guardians. It's a pretty cool name. I'm actually quite interested to find out what it's all about. But he said that he wanted to turn me into a comic book character. And I think that's a great idea, dude, with my app coming out and stuff. Once my app makes it, dude, I want to fund creators like you to create these new awesome comics under a media company called SKP, Star Kingdom Productions. And, the same way Apple created Apple TV and Amazon created Amazon Prime. I want to do the same thing, and I want to create my own comic book as well. It's one of my dreams. But as you can see, thanks to you guys and your support, Sacred Terra, you've literally been helping me fund this development of this application. You know, I'm not earning that much money. I'm earning very little amount of money, but enough to keep me going once a month, which is all that I need. I don't really need anything more than that. So, you know, I can't thank you guys enough for your support. I really just can't thank you enough. Because if it wasn't for people like you guys and Sacred Terra supporting me, I'd be in a messed up situation. And I wouldn't be able to continue to keep coding every day. That's ultimately what I do every day. I just code. And I've got this really amazing application, which is really creative, called Star Kingdom. And it's my life's work. I've been working on this for years, but it's finally being developed now by myself. And it's going to launch this year, you know. And it's going to open so many doorways. Things I've wanted to do, positive, impactful things I wanted to do, like create, resuscitate Earth United, create the Earth Centers, create new supply chains, create a new lawful system outside of the government legal oversight, and feed people, give people water, drill water wells, create huge, plant tons of food trees. Like as soon as I'm super rich, I'm gonna allocate billions to just planting food trees everywhere, wherever I can, particularly in Africa. And the way I see it is that people don't have to worry about food. It's like, why should we have to worry about food, dude? This stuff just grows on trees, bro. These things should just be pickable anywhere we go. Like I live in a place with a lot of trees, but rarely any of them are food trees, and it's just so impractical. You know, Johannesburg, the city I'm staying in now, has the most amount of man-made planted trees in the world. But the funny thing is, none of them are food trees. Like I could put other trees everywhere, dude, and there would not be any hunger issue. If they were just tree, like for instance, let me just show you here. I wonder if I can switch my camera around. Can? Well, I don't know if you can really see, but there's so many trees here, man. And I just imagine, like, if they were just food trees, people wouldn't go hungry, dude. They'd just go around just picking food off trees and just putting water wells and boreholes everywhere. And just give people access to clean water, man. Those are just basic things I want to do and that I'm going to do. Nothing too complicated. But, you know, can't really see any comments here now. See, I'm so upset with these allergies I've been having. Oh, there we go. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, brother. Amazing, man. Yeah, I hope you're working on your comic, bro. Keep working on it, dude. I think it's so epic to see creativity like that take place. And then to see it materialize into something that can impact a lot of people. I think that's epic. I've been thinking about creating my own comic, but I've just been wondering about certain ideas of what to do, etc. and so forth, so on. Oh man, life. I've been watching a lot of interesting videos where people are speaking about consciousness and quantum physics, and it seems like a lot of scientists are really highly regarding consciousness, the study of consciousness, and seeming to believe that there is more to reality than meets the eye, which I think is really awesome. It's really affirming, positive in a lot of ways. But I've been collecting some of those videos. I was going to put it into a compilation and share it with you guys. But I think it's really cool to actually see very big people speaking about this, you know. Like Joe Rogan, I'm not completely on his page, but sometimes he has some really interesting conversations where they actually highly regard consciousness and the potentiality of us living in a conscious universe or world, you know. Damn, dude, my allergies are acting up. It's so annoying. Oh. But I see food in America is quite expensive, eh? Like fresh fruits and vegetables. I saw corn cob for $7, dude. That's crazy, bro. One corn cob for $7. That's like, damn, bro. That's like in South African rands, bro. It's like 100 and something rand, dude, for a corn cob, dude. And it's like, guys, just plant the corn. Just let the corn grow in your backyard, dude. That stuff grows pretty quickly. But they're charging like $7 for genetically modified corn. Just one cob. It's crazy. You know, the good thing about South Africa is the price of living is pretty affordable for food and stuff, although it has been going up and whatnot. But yeah, you know, more sustainability needs to be promoted and encouraged. You know, more people need to plant food, dude. But it becomes weird when the governments get in the way of what you can and can't plant and, you know, what you can and can't grow. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm just prodding along, dude. 2025. This year feels way better than the last year. Not gonna lie, last year was a bit of a tragedy for me, but I got over it. And things just seem like they're getting better, you know. I want to read more Bible scriptures to get more inspirations as well. The Borg on the Star Trek shows what Musk wants to do with humanity with his Neuralink. Yeah, I got a rough concept and character ideas that took a pause, but I had to download a new world system so things are working properly again. I'll get back to it. That's really good to hear. Yeah, transhumanism is a thing, man. I don't see humans going any other way. You know, as technology advances, people are going to want to achieve technological immortality. And they're already trying to do that. It's quite risky, you know, merging your mind with the machine. And these quantum computers are really making some crazy breakthroughs, you know. It started with something we talked about on Patreon. What is it called? It's called D-Wave. Is it called D-Wave? It's called something like that. That quantum computer they're using to actually program other quantum computers. Yeah, last January was not fun for me. Last January wasn't fun for me either. This January has been a lot better. The vibe's better, the energy's better. World events are not too crazy. You know, things are not so volatile anymore. Things are a lot more chill and a lot more calm, which is good. Because after the last couple of years, this whole world's been through, man, it's really shaken things up and really taken a lot of people off center, including myself. And I've had to get myself back, psychologically speaking, you know. One of the things I found out is that depression's real, but it's overcomable. And one of the things I said to myself is that in order to learn how to defeat depression, you first need to become depressed. You know? But depression's real, dude. People just want to be free. They just want to live life. And they should be allowed to do that. Everyone deserves that right to have a happy life, a happy, free life. We're social beings in nature, but the system is so restricting in so many ways. You know, you need money, you need capital to be able to do things, to be able to move around, to be able to be free. So, those are one of my aims, is to support a lot of people that I can along the way. A lot of people stuck in poverty, and to help eliminate that poverty, so people can, while they're alive, they can actually have a good life. They can have opportunities, they can have chances to grow, to expand, and to become stable in life. A lot of people have a lot of stress and worry. We live in a modern era where depression's at an all-time high. There's more depressed people than anything else. And in a lot of cases, money doesn't just solve that problem. People with money are more depressed than people without it. But I remember being stressed in life so long as a young child growing up, and having so much anxiety and stress. But I overcame it by overcoming fears, and being able to see a room for growth, room for opportunities to actually turn my life into a good life, and not get into unnecessary trouble with anything. There's always this fear of getting into trouble. And I think a lot of people existed, there's this fear of like doing something wrong and landing up in trouble and having your freedom taken away. But as you grow older, I think you just learn to stress less about things. You overcome a lot of things, and life gets better. For those that are actively trying to improve their lives, life gets better. So that's a really positive, optimistic thing. This one of these guys I was sitting with the other day, I wasn't in the best mental space, and I wasn't the happiest. But he said something to me I used to preach when I was younger. When I was younger, I was very happy and exuberant and full of energy and optimism. But a lot of things happened along the way that destroyed me and took that away from me. And I just want to get that back, and I will get that back once I'm successful in these things that I'm doing. But one of the things this guy said to me is, he just said, "Listen, what I do is I'm just not hopelessly optimistic, but I'm always optimistic. I'm just optimistic no matter what. Things go wrong and this and that, just always be optimistic." And he reminded me of what I lost. It's good to be optimistic. It's so easy to slip into pessimism and negative thinking. It's really good to just have an optimistic outlook towards your life and things, and to see things going your way, and to see things getting better. And most of the time when you apply that, it actually turns out to be true. Which is why I shared that Neville Goddard video on Patreon. Because it's so good to be reminded of those things. It's so good to listen to people like that who inspire you to think positively, to dream. Don't let your dreams die. Keep dreaming. As soon as your dreams start dying, you start dying. And I've had a fight, and I've become quite a few things, like a lot of people do. One of those things was depression, man, a really negative outlook towards life. But I overcame it, and I did the right thing, took the right actions. When you're depressed or stressed or worried, fear is your greatest enemy. Fear is the dream killer. Fear just gets in the way of you doing stuff that can change your life. Like, you just fear that no matter what you do, nothing good will come out of it. And it's like, that's not true. Like, fear prevents you from taking steps, man. And when you take those steps, you feel a lot better about your situation. So I've been become a lot more empathetic towards depression and whatnot, because I've gone through it myself. And I understand life on earth is not so black and white. It's not so straightforward. It's not so easy all the time. Sometimes it does get difficult and challenging, but I mean, any challenge is there for you to overcome it, Any challenge presented to you is there for you to overcome it, and it is overcomable, but it's your mindset that has to change. Your psychology, your outlook has to change first before you can overcome anything. What's that? Comments. We can end poverty by having everyone that wants See, by having 7 hours a day, 6 day a week, it would be the people's choice on what produce. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I totally agree that more stuff can be done to end these problems for people. But it's not being done, and these people harbor a lot of money, dude. They have so much money. They just want more money, more and more money. And they don't really use it to actually change things in a big way, which they could. Some of these guys are sitting on like 200, 300, 400 billion dollars, dude. And they're not doing anything to help anybody. You know? And it's like, what do you need so much money for? You could go down as a hero in history for using that money to create sustainable agricultural systems and stuff that change people's lives in a really big way. So yeah, it's a constant process of keeping your mind strong, keeping positive, keeping optimistic. Let's move this. And that's where I'm at. That's why I haven't had so much energy lately I've just lost a lot of my inner spark. And I'm working on getting it back. But yeah, that's the end of this video, guys. Thanks a lot for all your contribution, all your support. Next week, I'll have some more interesting stuff to show you on what I'm working on. And it's all thanks to you guys. Literally, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. I hope you keep well. Sending you guys lots of love. God bless. And I'm going to try to post some positive things on Patreon. But yeah, keep well, guys, and stay positive, man.